Hello, my name is Leah Heilpan, and today I'm joined with Mike Chambers, the former CEO of Bax and Faster Payments and the current chairman of the payments business. Hi Mike, it's great to have you. Now, what do you think the biggest change in payments will be when this pandemic is under control and businesses can finally emerge?
I think that if you think about payments and the future of payments, the simplest answer to give you is that everything will be digital. The problem with that is that's an easy thing to say, and just talking about digitization just can be very superficial. So let me break that down. I think there are three themes to the future of payments in the UK post-pandemic. The first is that there will be those that just take digital and layer that on their existing technology stack, their existing processes, their existing customer products and services. And I call that digitization. They're just digitizing what they've currently got. The second stream of people will be organizations that truly create new stacks, new technology stacks, new processes, new products in a digital environment. And it's those people that create new, go back to first principles and create something new that will be the most creative from a customer point of view in terms of customer's experience and the customer interface. So that would give us a digital environment. The second theme around being truly digital is to think about the payment infrastructures that we use to process billions of payments in the UK and cross-border. And at the heart of those payment systems are clearing and settlement mechanisms. Currently, we've got a few of those around. We've got one for Bax, for example, and we've got one for Faster Payments. We've seen telegraphed by the industry a move to a new payment architecture, a new system to run one system for all those retail ACH payments. So I think that we'll see that bedrock change, that we'll have a new system that gives us the certainty and the resilience that we expect for our payments.
And you talk about digitizing payments, moving towards that digital future. So do you think there's a possibility that cash will actually disappear entirely?
I think it's important that there's going to be a broad range of payment options. I think it's important that the choice is in the hands of the consumer, and it's not down to the government or regulators or industry or retailers to tell us not to use cash. I think a broad range is important. But what we'll find from a cash point of view is we're far more cashless than we really think we are. The money coming into our bank account every day or every month, we're making payments to our standing orders and direct debits and transfers and debit cards. We've got a very small number of cash payments left. I think that if you look at the figures from Link year on year, month on month, we are making less and less cash withdrawals, making less cash payments. That was happening pre-COVID. During COVID, the cash withdrawals have gone down by 60%. Now, that isn't a surprise in itself as a short-term change because we weren't out there spending money. But in Link's own view, we're finding a situation where they don't think that those cash levels will return to where they were before COVID. And I think that from that, we will find that we will be in a much more cashless or digital payment environment post-COVID. The danger is that we preserve cash for cash's sake. And if we do that, we will leave people behind, and we'll only serve to leave people behind. We need to make sure that digital solutions that are brought to market are inclusive, are accessible, are equitable for all those in society.
Now, you are, of course, the chairman of the payments business. So tell us, why did you actually accept this role?
My whole career has been in payments, in domestic banking, international banking. I've been CEO of systemically important payment systems. I've now got a portfolio of payment activity. And the reason that I'm in that portfolio and the reason I'm the chairman of the payments business is that payments have emerged from a backwater of processing, from a hygiene factor to absolute prominence. And the innovations and the changes in payments are making significant differences in the way that we pay for things, the way that we budget, and they're enabling us to become much more financially efficient and frictionless in the way we make payments. Banks have had a bit of a hard time of late, and I think as payments have the opportunity of rising to serve all those in society. And from a payments business point of view, what I found is that we've got a unique opportunity through our experience and our network and our reach to help navigate payments, to be a voice for good for payments and to signpost solutions.
And we talk about all of this innovation, but when we try and understand moving forward, I want to know from you, what are some of the main problems that you see facing the UK payments industry?
I think that, you can either look at things in terms of problems or opportunities. And I think my response to you would be a real mix. We have got a fantastic thing called open banking, which was leading the world. And I think that we've got an opportunity to fully exploit open banking to the point that not only does it provide lots of payments needs, that it starts to become open finance. It starts to become open insurance. And in the end becomes open everything. And there's a real opportunity there to address many problems about managing our financial affairs, providing information to suppliers, getting the best for money, aggregating, finding best solutions. So the opportunity to exploit open banking is very significant. I think we've got a very competitive fintech market in the UK. One of the challenges, you can't back every horse, and you've got to back the right horse. And one of the challenges we will face is that the right horse isn't necessarily the one that's funded and got all the money they need. There will be some that aren't funded in the right way, that have real propositions that can make differences for us. So backing the right horse from those fintech organisations that would truly add value to our payments experience is important. We've talked about being cashless. One of the issues there is that you get to a point as we become more cashless or more digital in our payments, the cost of supplying cash will become much more difficult, much more expensive. We got to learn from the experience of checks, where all we did through a debacle through checks experience is reinvented the check. We've got to get to an environment where we're more creative about providing a better cash supply network for those who want to use cash, as we seek to provide digital solutions for those who want to move to a digital environment.
And you speak about that competitive financial market in the UK, and one of the hottest topics that we've had is, of course, the Brexit debate. So we are, of course, leaving the EU. So tell me how you actually think the UK will survive as a financial centre.
I think if we look back, and certainly to my early career, the UK as a financial centre meant the square mile of London. It meant the money markets, it meant the securities markets. But if you look at what we've created in the UK from a fintech point of view, from London to Edinburgh to Cardiff to Southampton, we have got a vibrant, exciting, funded, talent-filled nation of people providing fintech solutions. And because these fintech solutions are not delivered through physical presence, through bricks and mortar, they are much easier to deliver. They're transportable by currency, by geography. And we got to a point where actually we have got much that we can share amongst the UK, amongst the fintech market, but also across the globe.
Yeah, and fintech right now, one of the main use cases that we're often hearing about is banking the unbanked. So what advice can the UK actually offer emerging unbanked markets then?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say that, having a bank account and having access to digital solutions, is not a privilege, it's a right. I think there is much that we can share with other countries. But equally, we mustn't be arrogant to say that we've got it sussed. There's much what we need to do in the UK in terms of financial inclusion and banking the unbanked and making sure digital options are available for all. But I think in that context, you look around the world, you can see M-Pesa, you can see Paytm, you can see some of the open banking stuff happening in Australia. I think the advice I would share is that as we seek to improve payments, as we seek to make digital payments become that ubiquitous reality, is that we start from first principles, that we don't overlay the legacy, that we start again and with first principles and have truly digital payments, that we move on from thinking about cashless is king to thinking about frictionless is king and having frictionless payments. And some of those great frictionless experiences we have today with people like Toby Carvery, with people like Trainline, that, we've really fully integrated booking and payment and ordering processes that in 6 or 12 months' time, we'll look back and laugh and see how much we've improved over that particular time in terms of frictionless payments. The customer choice in terms of is important, the experience and the interfaces we use. We shouldn't compel the customer to move away from cash, to move to digitized or digital payments, that actually they should want to. And we should expect them without compulsion and without forcing to want to use those solutions. And I think that back, as I said at the top of the interview, if we talk about digital payments, they must be truly inclusive. They must be truly equitable. They must be truly accessible to all in society. And there's one point we often forget with payments. Payments have two parties, the person paying somebody and the person receiving the money. And we must make sure that digital solutions meet the needs of both the sender and the receiver of the payment.
Just finally then, with all of this in mind and looking at the current, state of geopolitics, I want to know, is payments then actually going to survive post-COVID-19? What's it going to look like?
Well, I think the first thing to say is payments will survive post-COVID-19 pandemic. Post-COVID-19, we're not in some sort of utopia where goods and services are provided for free. We know that payments will be required. We're not going to get back to the normal we have experienced. There's an overused, much hackneyed phrase about the new normal. I think my suggestion is that none of us know what will happen in the short, medium terms in terms of our payment habits and our payment requirements. But, if you start to sift through it, what would we expect? We would expect to be thinking less about being cashless and more about being digital. We would think about all the things that we have made about payments being remote, with online banking, with apps, with managing our money, to actually becoming a fully remote process. So about digital identity, providing documents, proving who you are, the onboarding process. We've got to make the whole end-to-end process completely remote, not just the bits that we find easy to do. I think where we are going is in terms of true integration, true frictionless. So we shouldn't have difficult payment journeys or difficult experiences with booking for something, with arriving, with checking in, and with the payment and getting the receipt after it. And if you put all of that together, we're in an environment where we've got a bedrock of a clearing settlement mechanism that's absolutely resilient, absolutely trustworthy, works day in, day out. And on top of that, a really competitive overlay market of people bringing products and services to market that enable us to manage our money better, understand our financial situation, and make our payments how we want to and when we want to.
So really just about creating that better user experience. Mike Chambers, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure having you share your expertise with us.
Excellent. Thanks for your time, Leah.